Hi everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. Today I'm here to show you how I made a card that I posted on my blog today. It was part of the Blogging Friends blog hop, and the theme was Memories of a Christmas Past. So I was trying to think about what I remembered from my Christmases, and the thing that kept coming back to me was the song Silver Bells. I don't know if you remember. We used to have a record that we played every Christmas. It was Burl Ives, and Silver Bells was the song that just always comes back when I think about Christmases. So I decided that I was going to make a card using the Cherish the Season stamp set and dies from Stampin' Up. And I've coordinated it with the Tis the Season Designer Series paper. So this is an easel fold card, and all of the written instructions as well as the template and the link to this video, if you haven't found this on YouTube, are on my blog. So I will put my blog post link underneath the video so you can go back to it. It has all the written instructions as well as the measurements for this card and a template. So let me just switch over to my desktop and we'll get started. All right, so this is my card. It's, like I said, it's an easel fold card. It's a little hard to see, but it stands up. And the front of it is, this is from the Tis the Seasons, this designer series paper. And then I've cut out 2 bells from using the Cherish the Season dies. I've colored some of the silver edged metallic ribbon using the Cherry Cobbler Stampin' Blend. I've added some red rhinestones, some little sprigs of green boughs, and then a sentiment. Just reminds me of Christmas past. So let me just show you how I made the card. So this is things I've got. So I've got a piece of cardstock that is cut 4 1/4 by 11. Now I'm going to bring in my trimmer. Like I said, I will put all of the measurements in a template up. So what you're going to do is you're going to put this in your trimmer and you're going to cut. So it's going to be a little hard to see on camera, but oops, let's put this. So you're going to line this up with, I've got this lined up with the 1 inch mark on the right hand side. And I'm going to take my cutting blade and I'm going to cut from 1 inch down to 6.5 inches, which is to here. Okay, so that's cut. So you're going to cut 1 inch from 1 inch to 6.5 inches. Then I just flip it over and do exactly the same. Line up this right hand side and your cutting blade, oops, line it up at the 1 inch. Your cutting blade goes in at 1 inch and you cut down to 6.5. So that's the cutting for this card. Now the rest is scoring. So get your cutting blade out of the way, because if you're like me, you have you've done this where you actually have cut instead of scoring. All right, so now we're going to score, and we're going to score all the way across. Oh, sorry, we're going to score from the edge to the 1 inch cut line, lift it up, and then we're going to score from 1 inch over to the other side. So we've got 2 score. Okay, then you're going to move it to 2 inches and you're going to repeat that. So again, from the edge to the 1 inch mark, get my hands out of the way, and then bring it across, and from that 1 inch cut to the edge. Okay, so you've got the score lines. Now you're going to bring this up to 5.5 inches, and you're going to score on the inside. So now you're going to score between the cut lines. So that's from 1 inch to 3 1/4 inches. And then your last one, I'm going to have to extend this out. I'm going to move it to 6.5, which is there. And I'm going to do the same as I did on the first ones. I'm going to score from the 1 inch, the cut lines, to the edge, outside edges on both sides. All right, so let me just show you that again so maybe you can see it a little better. So I have scored, so I've cut, these are my cut lines, again from 1 inch to 6.5 on both sides, 1 inch from either side. And then I have scored it from the 1 inch, so from the edge to the 1 inch mark on both sides. So 1 inch at 1 inch, and then again at 2 inches, and then again at 6.5 inches. And then I've scored in between the cut lines at 5.5 inches. So hopefully when I put the PDF for the template, this will make sense. So then you're going to fold these. That one folds up, that one folds it in half. So once you kind of fold it, it will end up looking like this. Give it a good crease with your bone folder, get those folds in place. And now you're ready to decorate. Okay. So I have cut, what happened to my designer series paper? Here it is. Left it over by the cutter. Okay, we're back. So I have cut 3 pieces of designer series paper. Might have these not cut quite right. I'll have to trim them. So, so these 2 pieces that it fit in here are 7/8 of an inch wide by 4 1/8. So let me just make sure I've cut this the right way. So this is 7/8. It's cut the right width, and then by 4 1/8. Just didn't trim that one off. Okay. So these 2 pieces fit in along the side. And then I have a piece that goes along the bottom, and I need to trim this one. So again, this will be 7/8 of an inch wide by 4 1/8. Because that's, so my width of my cardstock is 4 1/4. So I just wanted to just a touch 4 1/8. I'll just trim that. There we go. So these will adhere. So we can put this on using our Stampin' Seal. There. And then these 2 pieces go. Let's open it up a little bit. Yeah, I can see what I'm doing here. So they go like that. And this piece as well. Okay. All right, so that's that part. Now, I have also got, I've got a piece of Whisper white cardstock that is cut 3 3/4 by 2. Let's see. Sorry, I've got the piece of silver, foil that is cut 3 7/8 by 2 1/8. And then my piece of Whisper white is 3 3/4 by 2 inches. So that will fit on here. So the other thing that I did cut out in advance is I cut these out. Now I have intentionally haven't pulled these off. I can pull the little sprigs that I'm cutting out of shaded spruce for this card, and those can come off of my plate here. Here we go. Now for the ones, the bells that I've cut off, what you want to do is just kind of take these off, and the goal is to try and keep them in one piece, because these little holly berries or holly leaves and the berries actually come out. So this all comes out, and if you keep it in place, let's just see, and if it does come out, you can always put it back into place. There we go. And I'm going to use some of my tear and tape adhesive, and what I'm going to do is just take a piece of tear and tape, oops, slipped my fingers, and put it across, because what I want to do is really hold these in place. And the tear and tape just kind of holds all of those, what would come out because I want this to be a solid bell on my card. So I'm just going to take some Tear and Tape and put across these holly leaves, and that just holds them in place. I'm not so worried about the little berries that come out because I'm going to cover those up with rhinestones anyway. But if you can hold the leaves in place, your holly leaves in place, it just really helps. Okay, so there's my bells. So we will adhere our Whisper White piece to a piece of silver foil. Right. And then this can adhere to this. And I'm not too worried. I've got it, it's a little shorter than the piece itself, but I'm going to leave some of the cherry cobbler cardstock showing. All right, there we go. And we will just adhere this on like that. Okay, and now I can take my bells and my bows, and I'm going to use dimensionals for, where are my dimensionals gone? There we are. Dimensionals for the bells to put them onto the cardstock. You will find that if you've used the Tear and Tape adhesive, the dimensionals tend to not want to stick so well to it. So just make sure that you've got your dimensionals adhering to the back of the foil card, as opposed to just all on the Tear and Tape. I just noticed that it just doesn't seem to stick as well. All right, so I'm just going to position the bells where I want them. So I'll put this one here, and this one here over top of it. And using glue dots, you can just take and add your sprigs of the shaded spruce and stuck onto glue dots. Take your picture, and then you can just position these underneath your bells. So I've used 4. Oops. You can use as 4, or you could use fewer, or you could use more if you wanted to. Let's get those positioned. And there. Okay, so now I have got a piece of, I had rhinestones. I've lost some rhinestones. All right, well, I'll have to find those. I'll show you what I did anyway. So I don't know where my rhinestones have gone. So I've got some cherry cobbler. So, and I've pulled the sentiment out that says, "May that you cherish the wonder of the season now and throughout the year." And that's going to be my sentiment on the front of the card. Let's see where, yeah. Get it positioned. There. And we're going to adhere that onto my cardstock. So this piece of Whisper White that I've stamped, oh, and then so I got knew that was going to happen. I got a little blob, but we'll put some rhinestone on that, cover that up. So this piece of Whisper White is 3/4 of an inch by 3 inches, and then the piece of cherry cobbler that it's adhered to is 1 inch by 3 1/4. Depending on the size of your sentiment, you could make it bigger or smaller. So this is going to go here, and I'm going to cover that little blob up using some rhinestones. All right. when I find them. So depending on how far, this is going to go over. Actually, I've got my rhymes. What you want to make sure is that you get your dimensionals or your adhesive in the middle, because you it is shorter. Sorry, the piece you're adhering it to is shorter than what your sentiment piece is. So I'm just going to make sure my dimensionals go in the middle of my sentiment piece, so they will adhere to the middle of my this part of the easel. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to grab some dimensionals or rhinestones. So what you can do is you could use real red rhinestones, but since I can't find them, I'm going to use just my regular dimensionals. And I have, because I'm going to color my ribbon, I'm going to color some rhinestones using the dark Stampin' Blend. This is a Cherry Cobbler Stampin' Blend. And they color really easily, and that way you can match up your rhinestones, oops, come back, with whatever color you want. So I'll stick them, I'm going to stick them on the holly berries on the front of this. There's 3. Okay. And then because I have a couple of, I'm going to put some here as well. When in doubt, we'll put, let's see, that's 6. There we go. There's 7. Hide your little oopses. There we go. So that's the front of the card, with the exception of, gosh, now where's my ribbon? All right, we're going to use this ribbon instead. So instead of the silver edged ribbon, I'm just using the crinkled seam binding in Whisper White. It works just as well. I'm going to color it using the Stampin' Blend. Don't skimp. Give yourself enough to make a bow. Maybe a little bit more. Otherwise, you'll be frustrated in making your bow. Make sure you have something underneath your ribbon because it will bleed through. And then you can just take it and tie a little bow. Oops. I should have had Christmas music playing while I was making this. It's that time of the year. My husband is actually out helping a neighbor put lights up on his house. So my neighbor's had some health issues, and so my husband is out helping put some lights up for him. And then hopefully we'll come home and put our lights and our little inflatable snowman up. It's a little early yet, but it kind of just feels right to put things up a little early this year with everything going on. There, so that can go just on the bells. Now I've got a piece of Whisper White cardstock. This is cut 4 1/4 by 4 inches, and this is going to go here in the inside of the card like this. So I'm going to stamp some bells down here in the corner. And then I have a Merry Christmas stamp that I'm going to stamp on let me see how straight I can do this. Looks like it's fairly straight. There we go. There we go. So that would be Merry Christmas on the inside. So you can use whatever sentiments you want, but so this goes on the inside of the card. There we go. So that's the card that I made. A little bit different than, slightly different. Every card's slightly different. So those are the two together. Pretty close. All right, let me just switch back. There we go. Oops, wrong one. This one. There we go. Now I'm back. All right. Thanks everybody for joining me. As I said, the written instructions, the template for cutting and scoring of your easel card, as well as all of the measurements will be on my blog, and I will put that link underneath this video so you can find it. If you have questions, please leave a comment on the video or on the blog, and I'm happy to respond and help you out. And while you're checking out the video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way you'll get notified when I do more videos. So thanks everybody. Hope you enjoyed the card. Bye.